Good evening, Packers fans. Aaron Nagler coming to you live on the CHTV social channels after a true embarrassment of a game by your beloved green and gold. The Packers absolutely run over, embarrassed by Derrick Henry and the Baltimore Ravens at Lambeau Field. The final home game of the 2025 season was one to forget. Certainly a very disappointing ending to the home slate, adding on to a losing streak that has now reached 3 games after the Packers did clinch a playoff berth with the loss by the Lions the other day. Packers certainly came out as though they had nothing to play for. Even though they did, you'd never know it from the effort on the defensive side of the ball. And I don't put it completely on the players, although there were plenty of instances where guys were embarrassed by their effort or lack thereof when it came to getting off blocks, making tackles, what have you. But certainly some of that has to be turned on Jeff Hafley a little bit as far as his approach and the way he approached Derrick Henry and the running game of the Ravens. Backup quarterback making the most of the opportunity against Hafley's defense. Just a really embarrassing night for everybody involved on the defensive side of the ball in green and gold and in the coaching staff on that side of the ball. On the flip side, I think clearly the narrative and the focus on offense tonight is going to be about Malik Willis. Absolutely an incredibly outstanding performance for a guy who Matt LaFleur just said barely got any reps at all this week in practice, both because of the fact that Jordan Love was limited in practicing, but also Malik Willis was sick, missed a day of practice due to illness. Comes out tonight. Also, by the way, dealing with that shoulder injury that he suffered on the final play down in Chicago, final offensive play for the Packers. Came out and just balled out. I mean, what a phenomenal game from Willis. Unfortunately, it was all for naught. Clearly, there are moments in the game that swung things, whether it was pulling within 3 points, going to 27-24, and then allowing Derrick Henry to rip off a big, huge, game-changing run up the right sideline. Packers could never really kind of get back into it, get the stop they needed. And then at the end, when they desperately needed I'm not going to say a miracle, but they needed a play, couldn't get the ball back, even though Malik Willis goes into the locker room, comes back out, ready to give it another whirl, despite dealing with that shoulder injury. Packers couldn't get off the field. Derrick Henry seals it with that big run up the left sideline. Unable to get off the field on some third downs. It's just a tough, tough night if you're a Packers defender or a Packers defensive coach. No two ways about it. Now, it's not to absolve the offense. They certainly had issues at times, whether it was the snap that goes off Willis's face mask. It's clear he's very, and I think Matt just said in the postgame, trying to can the play, trying to change the play there at the line of scrimmage. Sean Ryan must have heard something, thought something else was indicated, and snaps the ball. Willis not ready for it. Disaster ensues. Like I said, it's not like there aren't offensive miscues, whether you're talking about third and or fourth down. Matt LaFleur going for it on his own 35-yard line on 4th and inches, running that favorite play that we all know and love, inside zone, out of the shotgun. Certainly, Baltimore certainly looked like they knew it was coming. Blitzing right through that A-gap and shutting down, making Jacobs have to try and cut outside, and no love there. Looked almost identical to the play that shut down the game against the Eagles about a couple months ago. So it's not to say that the offense was completely faultless, but certainly the offense could move the ball. Absolutely able to throw it around the yard. Willis made plays both with his arm and with his legs. Sorry. But an embarrassing showing from the Packers defense to the tune of, and this is what happens when you let a freight train get going. The Ravens rushed for 307 yards on 53 attempts. Derrick Henry, 216 on 36 carries. It's the first time Green Bay has allowed 300-plus rushing yards in a game since Week 12 of 2022, which was against the Eagles, where they allowed 363. And I would remind folks that a lot of that was due to Jalen Hurts using his legs. This was just straight up, get in I formation, run off tackle, run zone and cut back, just classic downhill running from the Baltimore Ravens. And it wasn't just Henry. Mitchell obviously did some nice stuff as well for the Ravens. But, man, the way they came out of the gate and just completely manhandled the Packers up front was truly embarrassing. And they did look like the team that had something to play for. And I know the Packers did still have the NFC North in the balance. If they could have won this game and the next, and then pray that Chicago loses to San Francisco and Detroit, then there was a shot at the North. But that is all gone now. And, of course, the questions will be, what do the Packers do next week in Minnesota as far as who plays, who sits? I'm inclined to agree with my co-founder, Corey Banke, who said during Watch Party, sit them all, sit everybody. Like Corey, somewhat jokingly, talks about having Jaden Reed and Josh Jacobs be the all-time quarterbacks and just run wishbone and direct snaps. I wouldn't be adverse to watching Clayton Tune get a start. And I know people will scoff at that, but let Malik Willis heal up as well as Jordan Love. I'm totally fine with that. All that matters is the first playoff game. The game in Minnesota means absolutely nothing. So we'll see. And Matt was asked a bit about that tonight, and he said it would, have to first be the first step is getting Jordan Love out of the protocol, and then they'll make that decision. But I can't imagine Jordan Love stepping on the field for that Week 18 game in Minnesota. But stranger shit has happened, so we'll see. What's going on, everybody? Good to see everyone. Everybody mixing it up here. How we doing, folks? We got a lot of folks, a lot of questions and comments. Let's get to your thoughts, feelings, what have you, about the Green Bay Packers after an embarrassing loss to the Ravens. Starting with Porkmaster. How you doing, buddy? Is it better to limp into the playoffs like last year or careen off a cliff into them? We'll find out. Well, and that's an interesting way to put it because, there's something to be said for, no doubt, they limped in last year and then lost that game in Philadelphia. But the way they have been beaten up coming into the game and then in the game itself, they lost 3 or 4 more guys to significant injuries. There is going to be a point where, they were playing practice squad guys out there at the end of the game. And I suspect that's going to be a lot of the kind of makeup of the squad in Week 18 because they have got to get some guys rested. They've got to get some guys healthy. They certainly are careening off a cliff at the moment. A 3-game losing streak. Remember last year, it felt like they, couldn't get over the hump against the good teams, but at least they were, getting the big blowout win against the Saints. Like there were some good things to feel good about. And then, give yourself some hope going into the playoffs at least. But man, 3-game losing streak. 2 of those games, you had the lead in the second half, only to piss it away. Now you get this where you are just completely embarrassed in front of the entire nation. Not a great feeling. Not a great feeling around the Green Bay Packers right now. That is for certain. Kyle, what's going on, man? Defense is going to have to find itself if we're going to make a run. Malik Willis is a dog. Yeah, and by find itself, get off a block, make a tackle, the very simple things that, the game of football is predicated upon. Look, you can talk about, scheme and whatever guys are supposed to be doing within certain play calls or what have you, but ultimately, it is a very simple game at its core, blocking and tackling. The Packers did precious little of the latter tonight. Soder, you're not wrong, man. Sucks to watch your team get their ass kicked. You are correct, sir. Little doubt about that one. Joe, what's going on, man? Emmanuel Wilson getting 3 carries after rescuing the running attack last week is a head scratcher for me. Jacob should not see the field until the playoffs. I mean, he barely saw the field tonight, other than the fated 4th and inches call. He didn't exactly get a ton of work. He had 4 attempts on the night for 3 yards, Emmanuel Wilson did get 3 carries, and outside of that, Malik Willis ran the ball for 9 times. It's not like they were running the ball at all. They were working through the air. And some of that is because they got down instantly, right? It was 7-0. They come back, score 7 at 7-7. Then all of a sudden you blink, and partly because of LaFleur's decision-making, they're down 17-7. And now you got to throw the ball. They certainly got into an area where, LaFleur said after the game, they felt like they needed to score a lot of points. They felt like that was going to be that kind of game. And they took to the air. And look, it was effective. And some of it was effective because once the Ravens thought, okay, well, they're throwing the ball, then Malik Willis hurt him with his legs. So I don't have any issue with the lack of commitment to the run game. However, those carries were divvied out because, the way they were possessing the ball, they being the Ravens, it was very clear. They watched what the Panthers did and said, okay, we can do that on steroids, which is essentially what they did. I mean, I think at the end of the first half, the Packers, it was the time of possession was like 22 or 23 minutes to 6 minutes. In a game where the other team is continuing to score, you got to throw it. So yeah, I don't. Again, you guys know I'm the run the ball guy, but I had zero issue with it tonight. That's what Cheesehead. Thanks for the super chat, man. When does the finger get pointed at Goot for the roster he constructed? Lots of misses in drafts, injuries happen, but depth isn't strong. Help, Nags. See, I disagree. I think the depth is pretty strong, but certainly the injuries have not helped. They got a lot of frontline guys. You got Devontae Wyatt down. You got Micah Parsons down. There's little doubt that it looked like they were turning into Kamal Haddon, and then he went down. I get it's frustrating, and you're not wrong. Certainly there have been misses in the draft. Every GM has misses in the draft, but he's also had hits. I mean, the rookie class this year looks pretty damn good and promising. He's a year removed from drafting Evan Williams and Javon Bullard, who have both looked pretty damn good. Again, man, I understand it's frustrating tonight. That was an embarrassing performance, but I don't make sweeping generalizations about Good or LaFleur off of this performance in the context of the season and their tenures. I know this is the internet, and that's what you're supposed to do, but that's not what I would do. Tyler, what's going on? Can't believe I watched live Gary get blocked 10 yards downfield by a wide receiver. Time to give the reins to LVN and Kingsley as starters and pull the plug. Yeah, I don't know about long-term decisions, but, man, it was hard to watch Rashawn again this week. It's been hard to watch Rashawn for a number of weeks now. And you're not wrong in the sense that Enigbari and LVN clearly gave them more tonight. Enigbari, he's good for, a positive, i.e., get the offense in negative territory, play at least once or twice a week, right? I'm not saying he's a world beater, but you can count on him to make a play once or twice a week. When was the last time Rashad Gary made a play of any import in any way? I know he's had a couple plays where he's flushed the quarterback out. He's pursued the quarterback. He's pressured the quarterback. In Denver, it happened again in Chicago. But as far as like making a play of any significance, it's been a long time. So, yeah, it doesn't bode well for his future in Green Bay. Kenneth, how are you, sir? Thanks for the super chat. Malik showed he has a high ceiling. Is it crazy to think Packers could franchise tag and trade him? There will be no free agent quarterbacks as good as him. Entirely possible. Now, the trick would be, the cap maneuverability because of the price tag at quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, whatever that average of the top 5 salaries is going to be pretty damn significant. And creating a hole in your cap to carry that before you trade him would be, some fun gymnastics. I'm not saying that it'd be impossible for Russ Ball to do, but it would take a lot of juggling. That said, I don't see them going that route. It's not something they've traditionally done. I know they did it with Devontae, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, whatever it is, I'm so happy for Malik. He got a raw deal in Tennessee, and he's really shown the league that he can play at a high level. And wherever he ends up, most likely, I would suspect he gets to either compete for a gig or be a bridge quarterback. Whatever the case, he has more than earned it. And I hope he signs a monster contract, or as big as it can be in those situations, right? Because, man, what a great story. KJ Brute, what's going on? Thanks to Super Chat. Brutal night, but I'm looking forward to how we respond from this. Hopefully we get some players healthy before we get to the playoffs and see what we have from there. That is probably the most healthy attitude you could have after tonight. I get it if someone's like, how can you talk about the playoffs or whatever? Totally get it after how embarrassing that performance was. But that's why the game of football is so great. You get opportunities to redeem yourself, and the Packers defense is definitely going to be looking for redemption after that one. No doubt. JJS Breaks, thank you for the super chat. Matt LaFleur, 1 playoff win in 5 seasons. This coaching staff mixed with this core roster isn't it. Give a different staff a shot and see what they can do. The core roster that's like on IR. I mean, come on, guy. What? You got Micah Parsons, you got Tucker Kraft, you got Devontae Wyatt, you've had other guys go down in the course of the last 2 or 3 weeks, just when they were about, hopefully, ready to make a push. I mean, I get it. You're not wrong. It's a results-based business. They have not won in the playoffs. There has been context there. But I understand, the frustrations of watching them continue to slip into the playoffs as the 7th seed and either win a game or go nowhere, etc. We'll see. And then you're talking about the playoffs. What happens if Matt LaFleur and company win that first playoff game? I know everyone's thinking they're one and done, which is understandable. But what if they win it? And what if they win the next one? The narrative won't, be written, and people won't be able to talk about these things until we get to these playoff games. So we'll see. Porkmaster, what's up, man? End of the year and we're trending in the wrong direction. I mean, how do you contain Chicago last week and then do this crap? Well, it's interesting. I talked about this on Watch Party because Baltimore approached this game like I thought the Bears would. They just buttoned it up. They wasn't spread. It wasn't trying. And the Bears had their top 2 wide receivers down. They still didn't do what the Ravens did, which is just run a ton of heavy and run some classic both, zone and power with Derrick Henry. It's not like the Bears don't have good running backs. I'll never understand the Bears approach, especially in the Chicago game, the game in Chicago. But the Ravens did exactly what I expected them to do, especially after watching what the Panthers did. This is the way to beat the Packers. No question about it. And the Ravens just did it over and over and over again in an embarrassing fashion. Josh, what's going on, man? Lots of well-called passing plays to our top receivers, and the offense was rolling. Can we please have some of it when Love is playing QB? Malik, dog. Yeah, it's interesting how different it looks, right, and feels when Malik's in there. Something to be said for playing on rhythm and letting it rip in rhythm. Now, as we've talked about, the math changes when Malik is in there, and the defense does have to account for different things because of the fact that he can use his legs in different ways, in a little bit more dynamic ways than Love can. But even then, like tonight, they got rolling. He had 2 touchdowns with his legs, where they just kind of forgot the fact that he's a runner. But yeah, I feel you, man. The idea of some delineated just get the ball out on time passing plays rather than full field reads would be nice. I'd like to see it. Kenneth, what's up? In my opinion, Packers should be more willing to sign free agents in their 30s. D-line would be much better with guys like Mack, Calais, and Shelby Harris. Man, the Calais one, that would make a monster difference. I don't disagree there. But that's just not how they operate. I don't disagree with your premise, but we all know that is not how they operate and never will be. At least not with this personnel group. Soder, what's up, man? Feels like this group is better at finding ways to lose than finding ways to win. No idea what that is about or who, if anyone, is to blame. Just is. Certainly been the case for the last 3 games. And that's what's concerning, is this is the time when you want to be playing your best ball. You want to be trending in the right direction. You want to be getting hot, quote unquote, heading into the playoffs. And the Packers have done everything to shoot themselves in the foot when there's been any possibility of doing that. You've got that lead in Denver. You take the shot and you get, the interception, and Watson goes down, and then Micah goes down, and you lose that game. So you regroup and you come back to Chicago, and you've got that game totally in control until you piss it away with that onside kick recovery or lack thereof. And then you can't get a stop. They get the ball. You mess up on offense in overtime, they get the ball. Yeah, man. The lack of a closer, as Corey put it, the closing mentality. At some point, it's hard not to look at the coach. What else can you talk about? What else can you look at? If it's systemic, if it's happening repeatedly, I understand if people start pointing that finger. Andrew, what's going on, man? Is Matt LaFleur coaching for his job? Jesus fucking Christ. As any coach will tell you, and Matt will tell you, every coach is coaching for their job each and every week, no doubt about it. The only one who can tell you that is Ed Policy. I will tell you, though, doesn't feel good around the Packers right now, and they are trending in the wrong direction. Now, maybe there's context that Policy will look at, both publicly and privately, not just the injuries, but other things going around with the franchise, etc. He's the one who makes that decision, though, at the end of whatever 2025 ends up being. I would totally understand if he gives Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst extensions. I would not be surprised if he decided, I want my own guy in one of those spots. Maybe both, though I doubt it. I tend to think, he'll probably sign LaFleur to an extension, but I can't say that for certain. That is entirely Ed Policy's call. And we won't know all the information until the season is over. And that's when he will make that call. William James, thanks for being a Carry the G Club member. This felt like Monday night versus the Titans in 04. Just couldn't stop anything. Dude, it's so funny you mentioned that. That was the game that was going through my head when someone on the live stream during the watch party was saying, like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. And I'm like, man, it's been worse. And that was one of the games that I was thinking about. This is true. I watched that game on the road when I was in the Broadway production of The Full Monty. And we were at a hotel watching that game. And then, like, it was so bad. And I'll never forget, there was a shot of Packers fans streaming for the exits, like midway through the fourth quarter, start of the fourth quarter, maybe. And I think maybe it was Al Michaels who was on the call then, but he was saying, like, this is a rare sight. And then right when that happened, I got like a food poisoning kicked in that I got from a meal that we had on the road. So then after that Packers loss, I got to deal with food poisoning on top of it. Good times, man. Thanks for bringing up that memory. Kenneth, thanks again, man. Weird to think a month ago, there were like 9 NFC teams deserving of a playoff spot. Now there's only 5. Life comes at you fast. National Football League, not for long. And, sometimes it's about who stays healthy, who's able to mitigate their injuries, and who's able to operate because the injuries are only this or that in this position group, or we maybe have some depth, etc. That's why I always talk about when people are so upset in like September and October, it's like, man, none of this means much. Like, yes, of course, every win matters, every game matters. I don't discount that, but so much more. It's so much more about who can, A, be playing their best ball heading into the playoffs, which the Packers clearly are not, and who can, at least have some kind of semblance of health heading into January, which of course the Packers do not. So yeah, it's a tough road to hoe at the moment. Mimsy, thanks for the super chat. The 2025 greatest hits, injuries, shotgun runs, converted cornerbacks dropping passes for picks, Golden/Gary on a milk carton, D wasting the prime of our QB2. We're wasting Malik Willis's prime. That's so good. I mean, you checking all the boxes there, buddy. I have no notes. William, thank you, sir. I get there are ridiculous amounts of injuries on this team, but this is a front office issue. Games are won and lost in the trenches, but we clearly have not fixed the interior of both lines. I mean, I would definitely agree with you on the defensive side of the ball, especially after what we witnessed tonight. I thought the offense operated just fine. And certainly there are plays, there guys got taken advantage of. Aaron Banks got beat instantly on one play that Malik Willis had to flush out, etc. Right? But I think they've definitely found at least some guys that can give you the opportunity to score a bunch of points, which is the whole name of the game, right? So would you like it to be better? Would you like to be able to count on it a lot more? Hell yes, no doubt. But, man, on the defensive side of the ball, look, this is a long way to go here, so stick with me. But Corey talked about it a little bit on Watch Party, and I very much agree with the sentiment. What's so frustrating is watching this team get run over and run through up front tonight, especially getting manhandled, right? You're coming off a draft which featured the deepest, most talented defensive tackle class we have seen coming into the NFL in a long ass time. I don't know, I want to say decades, but a long ass time, right? The Packers don't take any of them. They take two receivers, one of whom is a gadget guy, and the other who can't get on the field, and when he is, they barely look at him. Now, those are long-term investments. No question about it. But if you're not, as Kenneth pointed out, going to hit some older vets who know how to play the game and it can give you some quality reps against the run late in the season when the weather turns and teams want to smash mouth football, well, yeah, you're going to have a bunch of young guys out there who are going to get run over and manhandled. And I don't doubt some of these guys, whether it's Carl Brooks, Colby Wooden, whoever you want, name a guy, one or two, maybe three or four could turn into really good NFL players, have really solid NFL careers, right? But you had the opportunity this past draft to, maybe find yourself a very talented defensive tackle who could help right now with this squad. But you're always long-term investing, which is great. It's going to be really lovely when the Packers need a receiver next year because Romeo Doubs has gone other places, etc. But in the moment, it's a real hard pill to swallow. Tyler, what's going on, man? Two legs are a weapon, and you can tell Matt LaFleur calls a different and damn near better game plan with him. Two's legs, I get it. 10 has legs too, though. It's not like he's a statue, shaking my head. Yeah, I mean, they've gone into some of the zone read stuff or the, read option stuff with Love at times. Clearly, Willis is a more dynamic runner. I think we'll both agree there, right? But as I was saying earlier, they want to do full read stuff with Love as opposed to Malik, where it feels like it's very delineated, right? Now, you could use Love a little bit more as a runner, or at least use his legs a little bit more boot action and stuff. And they've gotten to some of that since the Giants game. But at the same time, you do have a significant investment in the guy. He is your starter, and you don't want to put him in harm's way more often than necessary. But yeah, your overall point is very well stated, and I don't disagree. G. Huke, thanks to the super chat. Third, fourth down short package is pathetic this season. I mean, you're not wrong, and I would extend that to the red zone as well. Man, it's just tough. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. I don't know what they're doing half the time. Yeah, what's so frustrating, though, is that third and short where they tried the quarterback sneak. I don't know if it's because they never run it, that they don't know how to run it, but that was, doomed to failure, like right from the snap. And it was very clear the Ravens knew it was coming, as they did again on 4th and inches when the Packers tried to run out of the gun, much like they did against the Eagles. Ravens just fired through the A-gap and blew it up because they knew it was coming. Yeah, man, tough stuff. Oh, shoot. What's going on? The cheese grater hats, the fuck Green Bay chants in Chicago, no NFC North title in 4 years. I've never been more depressed as a fan, completely demoralized. I feel you, brother. I feel you. And look, I'm not going to pull the, I'm so old. I remember how terrible it was in the 80s because I know no one wants to hear that. I get it. You certainly don't want to hear it. But I will tell you, better days are coming, man. I get that it's so beyond demoralizing to watch your team get embarrassed like they were tonight. I absolutely get it, especially given what you're talking about, like the opponents rubbing it in. Forget the cheese grater hats. There were more Lambeau leaps from Ravens tonight than there were Packers. It's embarrassing. The fuck Green Bay chants. I mean, what? For doing what? For holding serve? That's all the Bears did. Yeah, they win the North. Good for them. Well done, boys and girls. There's a great line in Deadwood. Well, that's one for you. That's one for you, Chicago. Way to go. You know, they've been waiting, what, decades for this moment. So, of course, they're going to latch onto it as they should. Absolutely should. Hang in there, buddy. I know it sucks right now. I promise you better days are coming. No question about it. Jay Praster, how you doing? Nags, you always say the game is won in the trenches. I do. Can they make some noise in the playoffs with the all offensive line and defensive line? Carry the G from Lambeau tonight. Well, I'm sorry you had to witness that. Although you can say you were at a historic moment at Lambeau Field. No back has ever run for more yardage against the Packers than Derrick Henry did tonight. Can they make some noise in the playoffs? They can. The line is thin, though. The demarcation line of, can they make a run or can they win a game versus are they going to get bounced is very, very thin. They can do what they need to do if they don't run into the running game they saw tonight. Let's put it that way. It's a game of matchups. They did not match up well with the Baltimore Ravens. Daniel, what's going on? We have a run in us. I mean, possibly they could. Depends, get some injury luck a little bit. They definitely need a ball to bounce their way or two at some point. Possibly. Christopher, how are you? Packers have to have the worst vibes of all 14 playoff teams going into the postseason. I hope they figure it out, but hard to imagine they will. Very reasonable way to look at it. I completely understand what you're saying. And yeah, I said it at the start of the stream, man. Doesn't feel really good around the Packers right now. 3-game losing streak heading into the playoffs, and most likely, not much to play for there in Minnesota. You got to think it's going to be a lot of backups. That's decent chance going to be an L. That's 4 losses heading into a playoff situation where you're going to be playing somebody who's probably playing pretty darn well. Now you got to get healthy. So I have no issue with sitting as many people as possible next week. But rest versus rust is going to get a resuscitation here in a couple weeks. Patrick, thanks for the super chat, man. For a conspiracy theorist like myself, this game was the ultimate proof that the Packers playing 4D chess so they can maximize Willis's comp pick value and retain Halfley to run it back in 2026. No? I love it when a plan comes together. I mean, let's look at it that way, shall we? Yes, they're getting the best possible comp pick because Willis has ballooned his value on the open market, so he'll sign a better contract, which will increase the comp pick selection for the Green Bay Packers. And yes, Jeff Halfley allowing the Ravens to run all over the Packers defense so that he can stick around in Green Bay with Micah Parsons and company and make a run in 2026. You know what? It sounds crazy because it is, but I'm here for it. Kenneth, what's going on? Does this game prevent Halfley from becoming a head coach? I doubt it. I still think the Giants will throw a bunch at him. And I think some other teams will definitely have him in for interviews and could potentially try and hire him. It's rarely ever about one game. The Orc King, what's up? 27 means 20. 27 means 27, so 27 will happen, right? There you go. 27 will happen. Why not? The Weird Kids, how are you, sir? What up, Nags? Hope you're at least mildly buzzed to mitigate the bullshittery of tonight. Hopefully we rest the fellas and see what's what in the playoffs. You know what? I'm not buzzed, but let me try and start fixing that. Hold on. I needed to break out some bigger guns. Thomas, what's going on? Since 1992, the Packers have never lost 3 in a row to end the season, including playoffs. We are now staring at a potential 5-game skid this season, the way things look. 2021 San Francisco collapse. Matt LaFleur to blame? I love when people put these kind of, I'm not going to say elaborate scenarios, but scenarios together that, point out XYZ and then have the quick Matt LaFleur to blame or thoughts or something like that. I mean, let's say yes, because the head coach, it stops with him. the record is a reflection of the coach. So, yeah, Matt LaFleur is to blame. And I'm not saying anything he probably wouldn't say himself. Now, is that enough for Ed Policy to say, I want to go in a different direction? I have no idea. Only Ed Policy can tell you that. MAD, what's up, man? Don't worry, we made a deal with Gorilla Glue. Man, dude, that was one of the best super chats we've had during Watch Party in a long time. That was so good. Badger Trio, how are you, buddy? Haven't seen you in a while. Was that the game? The place erupted for Willis. Intro, a team is about to get a baller. I would love to keep him, but not happening. Oh, yeah, they ain't keeping him. I'm sorry you had to witness that game, man. But I loved how clearly jazzed and behind Malik Willis the Packers crowd was. That was awesome. Love to see that. Josh, thanks again, man. Packers D, you heard they had one last chance to let Rodgers down and couldn't pass it up. Hey-oh, Kiefer 515, what's going on, man? Always love your optimism, but can you give us like 5 seconds of pessimistic venting? It'll be cathartic, and then we move on. Man, look, sure, I'll give you this. If I see another fucking inside zone call on 3rd or 4th and short, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. That's it. That's all I got. I have no problem with the idea of going for it on 4th down, on your own 35. All of that, totally fine. But if I see the same fucking call that gets blown up because teams know it's coming, because guess what? These games are filmed. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. It's the best I got for you. Sorry. You know, I think there's way too much as far as this team, the context around it with the injuries and everything, for me to get too upset about how it feels right now, which it doesn't feel good. But I'm still going to, sit, watch how it plays out. Then at the end of the season, we can talk about everything. And then maybe there'll be some more pessimism there. But there's still some ball game left. Let's say that. Tyler, thank you so much for the very generous super chat. Really appreciate it. Matt LaFleur needs to thank his lucky stars for the 7th seed being added. Green Bay would miss the playoffs the last 3 years prior to expansion, and people would be calling for his job. Just because he's sneaking in as the 7, why shouldn't we be demanding a change? Well, you can demand a change. People do it every day. Hell, man, people do it on the hour on my Twitter account. But that doesn't mean much. The Packers always look long-term, right? Ed Policy's opinion is the only one that matters. As far as the sneaking into the 7th seed and all that, I've seen that so many times. And it's like, well, but so what about all the other teams that aren't doing that? That didn't have a superstar quarterback that they traded away and ripped off the Band-Aid and became the youngest team in the league 3 years running with a brand new starter, and yet continue to make the playoffs. I get it's the 7th seed, but there's all these other teams who have presumably not ripped the Band-Aid off and become the youngest team in the league. Matt, that's what Matt was handed. And I get it, man. It's Titletown. 7th seed doesn't mean shit. I get it. I totally understand it. But this is what I mean when I say policy is going to pull back and look at everything. There's certainly going to be a point where, okay, yes, you've made the playoffs, but it continues to be sliding into the 7th seed, right? And maybe this is the opportunity policy will take to say, okay, nope, it's time to turn the page. It's entirely possible. But, again, they'll let it play out. We'll see what happens at the end of this season. And then policy will make that determination. There's also the case that it's not just LaFleur. He is handed a roster to work with, and that roster has been decimated. Max, what's going on, man? Why is Bo getting more targets than Golden? You got to ask the coaching staff, man. I'm so over this whole dynamic. I have no clue. I mean, look, we're all very happy for Golden when he's scoring, big touchdowns or having big plays like he did tonight. And then he has a drop and everyone's like, why is he out there? Well, it's clear they trust him. It's clear they like him in the position. But it does become frustrating when you did spend a first-round pick on a guy who is clearly talented, who never sees the ball. He got a couple opportunities tonight, but, it's gotta be a trust issue. That's all I can say. I mean, again, you can ask the coaches, but they don't really wanna give that kind of info up ever publicly. So, I wish I had a better answer for you, man, other than it's gotta be trust. That's about it. Soder, what's going on, man? This Willis over Love talk has got to stop. Love has basically put the Pack in a spot to win just about every game. Willis is good, but Love is better. Soder, please. Making sense on the internet, it's frowned upon. I'm going to need you to stop. All right? Thank you. The Traveling Panda, how are you, sir? I don't know why, but I've been extremely confident the Packers, if they play each other, will beat the Bears in the wild card. I felt a lot, and I mean a lot more confident about that before tonight. Man, if the Bears decide we're just going to go I form and run the fuck out of the ball, can the Packers stop it? I don't know. Can Ben Johnson swallow his pride and say we're going to play bully ball? We're not going to try and make our quarterback do much? I don't know. We'll see. Braden, what's going on, man? We want the Bears in the wild card. Cool. Let's do it. Let's go beat them. Look, I loved the way they played the Bears last week. He sucks. The ending absolutely sucked. No question about it. But they had him. Just couldn't close the deal. I'm down for a rematch. Sam Goat, what's going on, man? I'm dead inside. Sorry to hear that, brother. Just think of all the beautiful things in the universe and all the wonderful ways that life can gift you things that will make you alive again. How's that? Keith, what's going on? Packers need a whole chicken like Major League. Fuck you, Jobu. I do it myself. I'm down with this idea. Steve-O, what's going on, man? So glad that I didn't drive up from Chicago for this game. Packers collect themselves, get healthier, and make a push. Beat the Bears in 2 weeks. Love this idea. And yeah, you dodged a bullet. No doubt about it. Fernatic Prince, thank you so much for becoming a Carry the G Club member. Really appreciate the support, man. Dom Vito, how are you? Gary should only play on third down passing situations. He has trouble staying home on run plays way too often, and his speed is non-existent. I don't disagree. I don't think we'll see them go that route, but I don't hate the idea. Now, the issue, of course, becomes when they're playing mobile quarterbacks, which if they do end up playing Caleb Williams, it certainly qualifies. He's got to be, rush lane sound. He's got to be, disciplined. And that has not been his forte. He's been better this year in that regard, but it's still a weak spot. So it's hard to see any kind of path where you're like, oh, he's got to be out there for this XYZ, because he's had issues with almost all of it. He's been at least a little better prior to tonight, setting the edge against the run, but man, it's hard. It's hard to watch at the moment. Mimsy, what's up? Is it speed or mindset that prevents Love running? I think he's done a good job this year of taking off when it's available to him, but he's always going to be looking to throw first, and he gets outside the pocket, and certainly there are sometimes opportunities, but he's a quarterback. He wants to make plays with his arm, as he should, I also think, look, when you're comparing him to Malik's just a way more dynamic runner. Like, that's not a knock on Jordan. That's just their God-given abilities are just a little different in that regard. Mark, what's going on, man? Sometimes the answer is injuries. Stop for a second and imagine this team with Parsons, Kraft, Wyatt, Tom. Yes, injuries are part of the game, but this is a playoff team. Without them, credit to Goot. Again, why are you out here making sense, man? Yeah, I hear you. It's frustrating, though, because you have a game like last week where all those guys are out, and yet they've got the game in hand if they just catch an onside kick, right? Yeah, you're spot on as far as, and this is what I was saying earlier. You've had not just injuries, but injuries to like blue chip players. It's hard to overcome that. And that's why, though no one wants to talk about it, you do have to give LaFleur credit, as well as Gutekunst, because there is depth available for you to still operate. You know, everyone sees a guy get beat or a bad play, and it's like, well, this guy sucks. The roster sucks. The coaching sucks. No, it doesn't. Certainly, there's context behind it, all of it. But yeah, man, they have certainly reached a point where, I mean, again, they lost what, 3 or 4 guys again tonight. They desperately need a reset health wise. And is 1 week enough to do it? To give them enough to kind of go into whether it's Chicago or wherever and get a victory in the playoffs? It's a tall task, but we'll see. Shaheem McCoy, thank you for the super chat. Love this team, but I honestly feel the amount of injuries we have this year is too much to overcome. I'm close to throwing in the towel and waiting for a healthy 2026 with everyone back. Go Pack Go, which I understand. That's not how I operate, but I totally get it. I don't begrudge anyone saying, you know what? We've had a guy in our Facebook message, which I rarely check, and I don't think many people in our organization, to use a phrase, about 3 people, 4 people, really check the messages on Facebook very much. But I have been having fun with this one Packers fan who has been saying the season's over basically since the Denver game, right? Because it's not. But I understand if you think it is and you don't want to watch anymore or engage with it at all. Hey, man, go read Dickens, like enrich your life. I'll be watching the game. That's the difference, right? Soder, what's going on, man? For all the talk about getting the 7th seed as a disaster, would they have approached this game differently if they had to win out? We have no idea. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. They had it right. They had the 7th seed wrapped up. No doubt about it. Frantic Prince, are they going to activate Colin Oliver? Well, he's on the roster. He was just inactive tonight. Now, that said, do I love the idea of Colin Oliver getting some action there in Minnesota next week? I do. And this will be his opportunity, most likely. But, there's no guarantee. We'll see, though. But he is available. He was just inactive tonight. Doug, what's going on? Is there enough carry the G for a game like this? I was trying to find out during the game, and apparently there is. That's good. Although, I've still got a couple pallets here in the studio and some in the fridge, so I've still got plenty to go. Braden, what's going on? Read option with Malik in the red zone. Chef's kiss. Why not include Malik in a new red zone package? Dog, I've been asking for a Malik short yardage / red zone package for like months now, dude. I don't know. Matt was asked about it. He said the short version of what he said is like, you don't love taking Jordan Love off the field, which I get as your franchise quarterback. But at some point, it has been so hard to watch in short yardage and so hard to watch in the red zone that, yeah, it's maybe not the world's worst idea. But now with that said, they messed up on 4th and short in Chicago in overtime. They messed up on 4th and short and 3rd and short tonight with Malik Willis at quarterback. So it's not like just add Malik. Let's put it that way. Josh, oh no, I'm so sorry. Drove 14 hours to watch that Swiss cheese defense. Malik is awesome, though. Go Pack Go. I mean, that was not akin completely to his, what we call Matt Flynn game, right? Where Flynn threw the 6 touchdowns against the Lions. But, man, people are going to remember that one. He balled out, man. We're going to be talking about that game. Even though they lost, even though it was embarrassing on defense, we're going to be remembering that Malik performance when we're old people. And I know, I hear you. Aaron Nagler, you already are old. I get it. But you're going to be talking about that one for a long time. That was a great performance by Malik, and you were there. And when people say, remember that game Malik Willis threw and ran and blah, 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 and you'll be like, yeah, I was there. Silver linings, sir. Silver linings. Evan, how are you? Ultimately, the Packers lost the war of attrition this year. It feels like the team with the most guys standing at the end of the year separate themselves. Yeah, I mentioned that a little bit ago, but you're not wrong. It's hard when you get down end of the season and you're just kind of battling to put guys out on the field. And then you throw in the fact, we haven't even talked about this, that half the roster is sick. I mean, you added 2 new guys to the injury report yesterday. So, yeah, it's definitely been an uphill battle in that regard. Simatovic, how are you, buddy? Definitely need to target secondary in the draft / free agents, but we need to look at O-line to that, add O-line to that list. Bears fans talking a lot. See you in 2 weeks. Bears still suck. Of course, Bears fans are talking. You're supposed to talk when you win the division. That's what they did. They haven't won the division in what? Feels like since Obama was president. So, yeah, they're going to talk, and I get it. It's all good. Ain't nothing. Thomas, how you doing, man? We were up 9 with hopes of being 10-3-1. I hate this. This was the year, man. Oh, I kind of referenced this on Watch Party. I mean, that is the moment, right? They were up in Denver, total control of the game, and then they take that shot, and it all falls apart. It all starts to fall apart. And that was it, man. I'm totally with you. And that's why you got to savor it, dude. That's why I'm not just pointing at you here, but like Packers fans in general, any football fan. How do you think Colts fans feel? Man, they were riding high the first half of the season. People were talking about we need to make a movie out of the Irsay's daughter. Like we need to make a movie out of this. Blah blah blah. Daniel Jones goes down. They lose almost all their games in the back half of the season. Now they're out of the playoffs. You gotta cherish each and every. That's why I always talk about like people being upset after a win. I get maybe things didn't go right. Maybe there's some bad moments, bad plays, whatever. But winning a football game is fucking hard in the NFL. And they each should be cherished. Because at some point, yeah, man, someone's going to jump up and some injury is going to just ruin your life, ruin your team. Some set of injuries is going to do it in this regard, in this instance. So, yeah, man, it's tough. It's tough place to live. Austin, how are you? I'm tired of the cheese grater hats and opposing Lambeau leaps from other teams. The cheese grater hats never bothered me, but the Lambeau leaps bugged the shit out of me, especially because the Packers themselves don't embrace the Lambeau leap. Like that bugs the hell out of me. But also, what was with so many Packers fans just being fine with Ravens jumping in the stands? I get they're big dudes, but just push them back, man. Although, shout out to the hero. There was one guy when Derrick Henry jumped up into a sea of Packers fans, by the way. One dude was, giving him the double bird there in the background. Hero. Absolutely. Frantic Prince, thanks for the super chat. Could it have been considered unsportsmanlike or taunting with a cheese grater hat on the sideline? Possibly, but do you really care? I mean, I understand you asked the question, so you obviously do, but man, at that point, to the victor go the spoils. Look, I hate taunting calls at all. I think a dude should be able to stand over another dude he just hit, like trying to send him into another universe and say, yeah, that's right, mother. Like you should be able to talk. You should be able to taunt. So yeah, I don't know, man. You win the game, you bring out the cheese grater hat, more power to you. You win, you get to talk. It's the law of the land, at least when I was growing up. Shaim McCoy, thanks for the super chat. I know we have a lot of receivers, but I just don't get why Matthew, for one, is barely on the field, and two, gets no looks. Stupidity. P.S. Christian, comeback player of the year. Watson should definitely be considered. Zero doubt about it. Now, I don't know because he missed, half the season that they'll give it to him, but 1 billion% should be in consideration. And the Matthew Golden thing, man, I don't know. I've talked about it ad nauseum at this point. I have no clue. And like I said earlier, the only thing I can think, the explanation there can be, is they don't trust him. That's about it. Mr. Enslin, thanks for the super chat. Completely embarrassing. Don't envy policy. No faith in this team for this year, unfortunately. Understandable. Like I said earlier, I get everybody's mileage is going to vary a little bit, and I completely understand if you're out on the 2025 Packers. I'm not, but I get if you are. Smooterito, how are you? How do you explain the complete inability to get turnovers? Some combination of luck / lack of ball hawks, etc. Well, because teams are attacking quickly. They know, they can get the ball out quick, get the ball into the hands of their playmakers, usually wide receivers on the edge. And the Packers corners just do not have the ability, the athletic ability, or, even just maybe even the experience at this point, who knows, of jumping the ball and jumping a route and doing the film study to say this is the area where they like to do this. Because there have been plenty of opportunities, especially for Carrington Valentine, to make a play on the ball, and he just has not been able to do so. So yeah, man, it's partly how teams are attacking the Packers, getting the ball out quickly, but also when you're playing so much kind of shell coverage, the too high stuff, we saw that a lot in the first half tonight, which is why the Ravens kept running the ball. Yeah, you're not going to test the Packers defense deep, so you're not going to get those opportunities where maybe they try to take a shot up the sideline. They're, not going to give Evan Williams or Xavier McKinney opportunities to go try and get that pick. There's lots of quick stuff underneath, some intermediate stuff, but yeah, man, it's tough. They don't have playmakers at the corner position, which is the biggest kind of problem that you can see when it comes to trying to get interceptions, any kind of turnovers at all. G Hook, what's up? Classic La Flat. I need a few carry the G's. La Flat. Tony, thanks so much for becoming a Carry the G Club member. Appreciate you. And the super sticker. Appreciate it very much. Stony Grant. Thank you, sir. Are coaches and players not communicating / watching during the game to make adjustments on what works and doesn't? Matt LaFleur, needing to rewatch after won't help win this game. Mine now is to the next game. Well, no. So when I assume you're referencing what he was saying in the post game about wanting to go back and take a look, because he's being asked questions about very specific things when it comes to his defense and the performance or lack thereof in certain aspects of the game. You don't want as a coach to say, well, our offensive line got, killed, or our defensive line got thrown around or whatever, which fine. That's like, you're not telling tales out of school there. But you also want to see, well, maybe there are a number of guys doing their job and it's one guy that's breaking down consistently. Or maybe there's a couple of times where he didn't agree with some of the calls that Hafley was making. And he thought maybe we would have gotten off the field and made some stops if we just do some different types of things, right? I get that it's frustrating when coaches say they got to watch the tape, but they want to they want to give informed answers. It's not just, trying to get out of the press conference, which could be completely understandable after tonight. But, do they communicate in the game? Yeah, of course. But they're also working. They're also doing their thing. Like Matt LaFleur is certainly in charge of the defense as well as the offense, but Hafley runs the defense. And there will be certainly moments on the party line, as it were, where LaFleur will undoubtedly say, I want to try it. Like, I want this. I want pressure here, or I want coverage here, or I want, a certain type of look here. Like, he will chime in at times, but for the most part, Hafley's job is to run the defense. Doesn't mean they're not communicating. Tony, what's going on, man? Thanks for that rant about running it out of the gun. My wife is tired of hearing it from me. Always happy to reinforce a fellow gun run hater on 3rd and 1. Overshadow Sean, how are you? Remember back in 25 when we lost 4 to end the season only to win the entire thing? I like your optimism, Overshadow, and I get accused of being optimistic. Holy cow. Elliot, thanks for the super chat, sir. Always remember 2010, anything is possible, but that team was a 6 seed. This team is a 7 for 3 consecutive seasons. Frustrating. No doubt about it. The other place where that, comparison breaks down, even though that team in 2010 was very much beaten up, obviously 16 guys on IR, etc. It's when those injuries occurred. Lots of those happened early in the season, like you're talking Ryan Grant, Jermichael Finley, etc. The Packers have just been hit by a bomb of injuries in the last month of the season. And that is after losing Tucker Kraft in the middle of the season. It is really, really hard. Really, really difficult. No doubt. Got that. Oh, we got some choice words in the comments here. Holy cow. I like it. What's going on? People just try to keep it civil. Just try. That's all. I mean, just try. The Bears suck, good, better, best. Oh, we got Bears fans. I like it. Well, like I said earlier, they will certainly crow about winning the North. Well done. That's one for you, Bears fans. Good job. I look forward to seeing the banner at Soldier Field next year. Your North winning banner. I know you've been praying for this for like decades. It finally happened because that's obviously what the Bears do is hang banners for division wins. Daniel, what's going on, man? Why defense coach upstairs instead of on the field? You got problems with your typing there, buddy. Because you like to see the coverages. You like to see how things are transpiring as far as when you're sending pressure or when you're trying to rotate out of a disguised look pre-snap into your post-snap look. How is the offense adjusting to that? What can you do to counter it? I know there's a school of thought that's like, oh, you got to be down there on the field to look them in the eye and all that stuff. But man, guys have had tons of success doing both. Like whether you're on the field, whether you're up in the booth. I got no issue with Halfley beating up in the booth at all. All right, folks, I got to get going. We had a good hour together. Really appreciate you. I understand the frustration. Certainly an embarrassing performance by the Green Bay Packers. Got to wipe it clean. Get through week 18, which is certainly going to be something. And then get ready for the playoffs. Got to get healthy. It's the only thing you can do. All right, buddy. Really appreciate it. Please do me a monster favor and hit like on this video. Subscribe to the channel. And then tell your friends and tell your family, Cheesehead TV, we are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Go Pack Go.